webinar, and I have almost 1,000 members in my group. Holy cow. Thanks, guys. I'm a little overwhelmed. It's funny because I started doing this um, kind of on the advice of somebody else. It was another woman that was doing these things she called live launches, and it seemed like such a great idea to be able to be still connected to people and feel personal and yet answer questions and make a following kind of a thing without it just being like a video, because everybody can watch a video and look, oh, I get hearts and stuff and say hey guys. So I feel really great about what I've been able to do and to create this, and my following is getting bigger and bigger, and I do hope that with each webinar that I do, that what's created for you is some sort of value, some sort of takeaway, something that you feel will enhance who you are as a talent or an artist, or cause some sort of growth. And I know sometimes I coach a lot, and I've coached for many years, and sometimes I watch a transformation happen in front of me, and it's face to face and one on one, and being able to do this has afforded me the opportunity to have our outreach to people that aren't in my immediate space. Like maybe you can't come over and sit with me. So I feel really great about what's happening, and I feel really great about you all attending, and the fact that I've had people like invite 100 people to join today, almost 1,000. It's really exciting. So I do have some things that I'm going to give away during this webinar. Some of my services and some of the things that I can do for people. I will give some giveaways, but I want you to really truly get engaged with the webinar. So if you have your phone on, I want you to silence it. I want you to flip it over so you're not even looking at it or paying attention to it. I want you to turn off the TV if it's on. I want you to kind of zone in on this and focus and be here with me and be really engaged. And the reason why I do the homework, and I know some of you noticed that I've posted, there's a unit within the group, and in Unit 7 there is a homework. It's a couple of pages. It's not a big deal. And easy questions. They're kind of delving into you a little bit and giving you some accountability. And that's kind of what it's there for. So I want you to feel like you can be accountable for your own personal growth, and I want you to feel that you're really engaged in this, and you owe it to yourself to take some time to set aside and learn and grow, instead of trying to listen to me while you make mac and cheese or something. I would much rather have you be right here with me. So I made the homework, and when you do it, what I'd like you to do is, as soon as you filled it out at the end of the webinar, I want you to take a picture of it and post it back to the group so that we can see what your answers are about and what you've done. And if there's something that you put down that you don't really want to show everybody, feel free to tape another piece of paper over it. I'm not going to question whether or not you actually finished it. But if you want some anonymity there, that's fine. And show me what you've done, and I'll be doing some giveaways for those too. So I do pull these videos down, and you can watch them on here for it's usually a week that I leave them up, and then I move them over to my YouTube page. So there is a YouTube page with the past webinars, and in the first one I kind of went into my background and who I am and how I ended up here in this seat and what I look for in talent and all those things that are kind of introductory. And I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time saying those things all over again, because I already did. So do your homework and go back and look at everything, so that you understand a little bit about why I have a valid opinion and why it matters to actually listen to what I have to say and apply it. I do believe that when you're trying to find people to listen to and to get advice from, you should take advice from people who know what they're talking about and are genuinely interested in your success. So you shouldn't be taking advice from people who you wouldn't turn to or pay for advice. If it's somebody that you'd actually genuinely pay them for their opinion, then that's somebody that you could think twice about, maybe I should listen to them. But if you pay for them to give you advice, then don't pay attention to that. So anyway, in my what to expect paperwork and homework, I thought of this particular topic because I think a lot of people delve into the acting and modeling industry and then they get false expectations. And whether they set their expectations too high or whether they even limit their own expectations. Some people go the opposite way and limit themselves a great deal as far as what they can expect or what they could possibly do. So I put this thought together so that you can, kind of follow what might happen to you as a talent that suddenly went, you know what? I think I want to do this. I think I want to try to be an actor. I think I want to try to be a model. I want to try to do something. And then they kind of go, oh, now what? Now what? What do I do? Well, there's a lot of similarities between what people go through. And the first thing that tends to happen to people is that they tell their family. They say, Mom, Dad, my best friend, my husband, that you say to this close person to you, I've been thinking, I think I want to be an actor. And that person looks at you generally, and some might say, hey, you know what? I've always thought you had the personality for that. I think that would be great. I think that would be fun. And then other people will go, what are you, crazy? Are you out of your mind? And maybe you are. Maybe you are a little bit. I think all actors are a little out of their minds, and models too. I think we're all a little out there, and that's okay, because it certainly is fun to be a little out of your mind. But there's going to be some negativism, and I don't know how many people I have met over the 30-something years that I've been in this business, that have had a future that they put aside and a goal that they really wanted, but they listened to the negativism. And they said, that's not real. You need a real job. You need something to fall back on. You need to go to college instead. You need to instead settle down. Why don't you settle down? And people listen to these things and think that that's the best course of action for them. But what I've come in contact with is that if you love this, if you love acting and you love the craft, what I have noticed is it doesn't go away. It stays there as part of something that's bigger than you, kind of. And it's a aching, burning thing that you'll always feel. I have met people that are senior citizens, and they look back on their lives and say, I didn't really do what I wanted to do, because everybody. But I think about Jim Carrey and what he said about his father, who really wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and instead he was told he shouldn't do that and that he should go out and do something else. So he became an insurance salesman, and nothing wrong with that. Being an insurance salesman is a lucrative, very respected field. But what happened was the firm that he worked for ended up going under. So he turned to Jim and said, I failed at something I didn't even want to do after working so hard my entire life. So if you can fail at something you don't even want to do, why in the world not go try to fail at what you'd really love to do? I think that makes more sense. So if you're here, you obviously have an interest. If you're here listening to me and taking your time this way, you obviously are trying to move forward in some way. And there's a lot of people who will listen to the negativism and then just do nothing. Like nothing at all. And they're staying in their safe zone. And they're not venturing out, and they're not putting their confidence on the line and saying, hey, I'm going to give this a try. But you guys are actually here. So that's a good sign that you're trying to do something. So another thing that you really need to realize is if you want to move forward in this business, you can't just hope, because it's not going to fall on your doorstep, and it's not going to just, pull up with a limo and say, hey, I'm going to make you a celebrity like today. That's not going to happen. My brother Darren, and some of you know him, he's a photographer, and he just sent me are they said GIF or GIF? I don't know, but the GIF thing that I use all the time, I use those so much. He sent me one where there was a push button for a door that had a handicap symbol on it, and when you push the door opened, and there was a staircase there. So someone had posted saying, it was like, because you think you're going to find the easy way to do it and the way that's going to make it a piece of cake, and the door's going to open and you're going to be able to proceed. But really, the door's going to open and you're going to have to work really hard. Now, the hard work is fun. Thank goodness. The hard work is fun. So that's why we do it. That's why we love it. That's why we keep going. But there is the work involved. So things that you should expect when you go and say, hey, this is what I want to do. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be delay after delay sometimes, and you're going to feel like, what's going on, and why isn't anybody responding to me, and how come I haven't gotten a booking? And these things are going to go on, and they're going to start making you feel like you're going to get discouraged. But I've always noticed that just when people hit this level of being super discouraged and things look bleak and they're not sure that they can go on and they don't want to do this anymore, it's like the next day is when they get a call that says, hey, you booked this gig. And they get the email, they read the email, it says, oh, you landed it. And then they're like, whoa, great, cool, super. And then they're propelled again to do more. So sometimes that next break is just right around the corner, then you haven't seen it yet. So you may be not moving at the pace you thought you would move at. You may be not getting the call back, the agents as fast as you thought you would get them. Or maybe it's a delay where they haven't made a decision yet and you just don't know, and you're waiting and you're waiting. And yeah, it's a don't call us, we call you business. And if they aren't going to reach out, they aren't going to reach out. So just go on to the next thing and try the next thing and keep going, because those kind of delays are natural. And at some point in time, you might suddenly go, oh, I completely forgot I even submitted to that thing. And then all of a sudden they go, hey, we chose you. And you're like, wow, I thought they booked somebody already. I thought that was gone, off the table. But sometimes it's not. So you really don't know. This career path is definitely something for people who like uncertainty. Uncertainty is the name of this game. You don't know what's going to happen next. And you don't know how it's going to happen, and you don't know what the role's going to be, or you don't know what the shoot's going to look like, or what this designer's going to be like at this fashion show. You don't know what's going to happen next. And you have to be really fluid with that. You have to be able to roll with the punches. You have to be able to roll with the changes that come. That's another thing that you really have to expect, is that there's going to be changes in what you can expect. They'll change a scene on you, they'll change a script on you, they'll change your character and give you a different role. They'll change the pay the day before you're supposed to go. I've seen that happen. They'll change the time, the call time, that'll happen. They'll have a scene partner picked out, and then all of a sudden the scene partner that you're supposed to work with, they can't make it anymore, and they have to recast that role. And now that they've recast that role, they use somebody younger, so they don't even want you anymore. Sometimes these things happen, and you have to be okay with it. You have to expect it, and you have to realize that sometimes it's out of the control of the messenger. I had somebody, I was relaying a casting show the choices to someone who didn't get chosen when they thought they were chosen in the first place. And what came back at me was, well, that's really unfair and very unprofessional. And I said, no, actually it's not. It's really the way the business goes, and your reaction is really unprofessional. So you have to be the stronger person. You have to be the professional that's going to roll with these things. You have to expect rejection. You have to expect that that's going to happen to you. I don't know anybody that just went to every audition and got everything they ever tried for. That's unrealistic. There's only so many parts, and there's so many people that want to do this. So you have to expect the rejection. It's coming. And truly, if you can't get past that and take it as one step closer to a yes, if that's not your style, then you're probably not doing the right thing, because you'll feel really bad. And who wants to do something they feel bad about? So you have to expect that. You have to expect to be criticized. Because you could do your best. You could do what you thought was amazing. And you have to expect criticism. Because somebody else's idea might not be the same as yours. It might be something that you hadn't thought of. Or it might be something that's totally a different way from what you personally as a human being would do as a reaction to something. Like I knew a woman once that she had prepared a monologue, and the monologue was from Misery. And Misery is, a creepy movie, and she was playing a creepy woman. And the monologue itself, when she first tried it with me, she really put like all this anger out there, and she was yelling and she's yelling, and she was very, very loud. And I said to her, why don't instead, let's try it another way, why don't instead you just hold back that anger? Because holding it back sometimes is super creepy, because you don't know when somebody's going to snap. If they haven't snapped yet, you don't know when they're going to snap. And I said, so let's try it that way. And when she did it, she finished, and I said, that was great. I really liked it like that. That was super creepy. And she went, well, I didn't. I said, what do you mean you didn't? She's like, I didn't like it like that. And I said, well, is this your film? Is this your budget? Is this something that you'd be in charge of like that, where you can say which take they'd want to use of you? I don't think so. So you just throw out there whatever people suggest you to do and be creative with it and try and roll with that criticism, and it's not even, it's direction. Roll with that, and then when you have the budget to make your own film, you can make those decisions yourself. But we have to not take things personally. We don't necessarily, she had a family that yelled a lot, so that's how she thought it was supposed to be done. But not everybody comes from that. So we see things differently, but we need to try and come up with what's our best artistic work. And do it with a smile on our face, and do it with a positive attitude, and know that when you leave, that you've given it all you've got. These things are very important. So, and some of the other things I put down. Another thing to expect when you're trying to aspire to be a talent. Sometimes you won't get paid on time. So you go there and you work and you try really hard, and for some reason your pay doesn't come on time. And that doesn't mean it's not going to come. It just might mean there's some sort of a delay. So as we try and as we work really hard to get it to you as fast as possible, try not to expect that it's necessarily going to come when you expected it to, because it might not. And you have to be able to roll with that too. There's a lot that's unpredictable. I usually try and pay talent in 90 days, and I do it faster if the check comes to me before that. But I have had situations where, I just wrote a check for a talent yesterday or the day before that had worked the job on September 11th. It's, a historic day, so I remembered this. But that's how that happened. So I didn't expect that kind of a delay. He didn't expect that kind of a delay, but it happens. And I kept him abreast, and I kept letting him know what I've heard, and I kept letting him know how I was reaching out to the casting company who hadn't sent me the pay yet. I kept letting him know how it worked out. So that's something that I will do, and any agent will do, because we want everybody paid. But sometimes that's not in our hands, other than to nag, which is kind of what we have to do on your behalf. So that is something that you can expect. And expect to put that into your agent's hands. If you go around them and try to do your own collecting, that's against protocol, and that could possibly ruin the relationship between the casting person and the agency that's trying to help you. So you have to expect to leave it in their hands and let them do what they have to do. So that's another thing that sometimes comes up. Another thing that people sometimes don't expect to have to do as a talent, and then the realism of it is, you have to pay for services as a talent. If you are trying to better yourself as a model, as an actor, even as a vocalist or a singer or a dancer, you go to classes and you learn. And if you haven't thought about putting your time aside, if you haven't thought about putting your funds aside and making sure that you continue to grow your craft and get better and better, it kind of, acting's weird, it almost like fades. I've had people that were working for a while, and then they kind of dropped out for a bit and decided not to do anything. And when they came back to me, I was like, okay, can you do your monologue again like you used to do for your auditions? And they said, yeah, sure. And it was nowhere near the level it was when they'd last seen me. And that was just because they kind of let it fade. It's almost like a foreign language. It just kind of goes away if you don't pay attention to it and nurture it. So you want to make sure that you're keeping your chops, and they say you're making sure that your chops are good. So that's what you want to do, is constantly grow, constantly work. If you want to be good, if you're happy being a career extra, you can do that, but it's going to grow some of your skills. It's not going to help you know how to necessarily deliver the lines and get into yourself and build your actual tool chest of things that you need to know as an actor, as a model. I know a lot of people that call themselves models. They have no idea what they're doing. So you have to be able to build your skill level, because if it's not up to par, the professionals in this business can see that so fast. It's like really obvious. It's white on rice. So we want to make sure that if we're representing you, especially, that you are building your skills and getting better and being the best that we can sell of you. Because there's this person in there that is their best version of yourself. And that's what we need to see, and that's what we need to market. So the more that you build your skills, the more we can help you. It's that help me, help you kind of thing. So you need to expect to put your time and effort aside to do something. And that doesn't have to be like, oh, I need to drive an hour out of my way and go to this 2-hour acting class, and then I need to drive an hour back home, and I have to do this 3 times a week. It doesn't have to be something like that. There are online resources and coaches and things like that you can be doing. There's books to read. I know that sounds really funny, but go pick up a book. There's books to read. There's stuff that you can do to watch. I absolutely love to look at the audition tapes of people that are famous people. That's a learning material right there. So research monologues, play with them, videotape them yourself, watch what you're doing, grow your skills whenever you get the chance to. I'm still learning. I learn all the time. I continuously try to teach myself something new. And right now I'm doing the masterclass with Natalie on the masterclass app. And as I'm doing that, I can listen to it in my car, and that helps. I have a binder of scripts like this that I have to help people. I have books. I've got my Vogue shows up, of course, every month. Actually, I think I have subscriptions to like 4 different fashion magazines. I'm doing stuff. I'm watching the videos of the runway shows from the last Fashion Week. I'm constantly doing things to up my skill level and to keep myself abreast of what's going on out there in the business and in the world, and whether that's creatively or whether that's from the business standpoint. But that's what you need to do too, because this is a job. It's a job. So if you want to do your job and do your job well, you have to continuously keep your skill set up. If a school teacher has to go do that, why shouldn't you have to go do that? If you want to be super, super good at something, then you need to do that. So continuously grow, continuously keep that going. Because if you don't, there's somebody out there that kind of sort of looks like you, and they're working their butt off, and they're trying really hard, and they're going to different places and different classes and different auditions, and they're going to run circles around you unless you get off your keister and do something. So yeah, aspiring is one thing, but as soon as you start to actually function as a talent and start moving forward as a talent, then you're no longer really just aspiring, you're becoming the talent. So keep that going. Do that. Now, I wrote down 2 on my list. Expect to do the work. And what does that mean? What does doing the work mean? Especially if you're acting. Doing the work means understanding the backstory of who your talent is and who your character is that you're trying to portray. And your character could have one line. Your character could be in a 30-second commercial. But doing the work means that you are going to understand exactly who that person is, exactly who they're talking to, exactly why they're saying what they're saying, what region they're from, if they have to talk a little differently or something, that you understand what that might be. You've got to create the full picture in your head of who this person is. So, okay, I've got to read for a commercial, and the commercial asks me to be a cop. Well, it may sound silly to you to go do the kind of work that a professional actor would do and follow a cop around for the day, but why not? Maybe it's just the guy that does the beat cops downtown and that's just walking around, walking the streets. Good, go talk to him. If this is going to pay you well enough that you get an extra hour on it talking to somebody who's actually in that profession, why not do that? So that you can be as good as possible before you even make your video submission and send it in. Do the work. Other people are going to do that kind of work. They're going to do the research. They're going to look into it. They're going to find out what somebody sounds like, or what kind of gestures people made, or with if you wear this kind of clothing, how does that feel on your body that might make you move a little different. Real, genuine, hardworking actors are going to go and do that kind of work to get the part, and to get the part right. So what is it that you shouldn't do that too? I think you need to do that too. That's really important. Do the work, do the research, start brainstorming. How do I find out more about who this character is so that I can be the best I can at being that person at any given moment? Another thing I said not to expect is don't expect to have a lot of time. People are constantly saying to me, well, I would have loved to do that if you'd given me more notice. Fabulous, thanks for saying so. I don't have more notice to give you. I get things when I get them, and then I put them out there to the world when I get them. So I don't hold on to information. I wouldn't hold on to a script. I wouldn't hold on to anything. I'm trying to get all information to my talent as fast as possible. That's kind of what I am. I'm like this conduit for this information. And as I'm doing that, what you have to try and do is work within the parameters of what you've got. If you've only got 24 hours to get the sides down and there's 4 or 5 pages of sides, then go sit down and learn them quickly, and don't put them aside and do it later. Don't tell me that you can't. Of course you can. You certainly can. Then if you really have a problem with memorizing lines that quickly, then you probably need to go to an acting class that will teach you how to memorize lines that quickly, because it's not impossible at all. And excuses are great, right? I know. They say something about excuses, and I'm not going to repeat it, but they do say something about excuses. So anyway, someone else is out there who's not going to make those excuses. Someone else is out there who's going to do really, really, really well. And I mean, I've had people make excuses to me when I gave them like 2 lines. Seriously, like 2 lines. Like, I need you to videotape submit these 2 lines and send them back to me. And it took me more than 24 hours to get it back. Why? Why would that be? Now, you don't need more time than that to say 2 lines. That's crazy. So no, react, handle it, do what's asked of you. Then you get the jobs. If you don't do all the work, and if you don't do what's asked of you, and if you don't do it in the time frame that it's asked of you, you won't get that. It won't happen. I had one young, he was trying to get signed by CESD, and CESD is a multi-location, really nice, busy agency. And I was given sides to give to him to try to videotape submit, send them back, to be signed with them. But it could also have landed him in a role, in a Jessica Biel movie. So this was a big deal, and I'd sent it to him, and I waited, and I got nothing back. And I went, did you send that on your own? Did you just send it to the agency directly? And he said, no, I didn't do it yet. Should I do it now? Like, no, your ship has sailed. Like, that doesn't work. You can't go backwards and say, yeah, I'm going to do that now. You can't. The ship has sailed. But see how that ties my hands. I can only do what I can do. But you've got to do the work. And you've got to do it in the time frame that I give to do it. So that happens with any agency. I wrote down, expect not to get as far as you thought. What does that mean? I know this sounds like a really awful thing to say. Expect not to get as far as you thought. Well, I was listening to a couple of actors talking about how long they'd been trying for their big break. Now, what is a big break? A big break is, I suppose, what catapults you into notoriety and stardom and celebrity status. And one of them had started doing acting when he was about 9 years old, and he'd been trying for 15 years. And he's not someone that you would look at and say, I know him by name. The other actor who next to him said that he had been trying for, I think he said 7. So the next question was, are you as far along in your career as you expected to be? And they both went, no. So why do we do this? Why do we do this? Why do we try this hard? And why do we set these expectations for ourselves? Now these are two interesting questions. Okay, we try this hard. Hopefully, if you're going to try that hard, if you're going to do something for 17 years of your life, hopefully it's because you love it. You love it. If you love the creative process, if you love going to audition, if you love meeting the other creative people, heck, if you just really love acting, grab a script and play with it at home and find them online. There's movie scripts all over the place online. There's monologues online. If you just love doing it, great. Keep doing it. That's what you should be doing, because who wants those regrets at the end of the day and the end of the year? There's a lot of people, those senior citizens, that say, I really wish I'd have done that with my life. And they didn't. And it's because somebody else told them that they shouldn't. And they limited themselves because of it. So if this is something you love, yes, you might do it for 17 years and still never get to be famous. But is that okay? Is that okay? It's okay if you loved it. If this is not a destination, but it's the journey, then every day can be something that was worth it. Every day can be something that you learned from. Every day can be something that enhanced your life. So if you're okay with that, and you're okay with, getting this occasional piece to do, and this another one, and here's another one, and maybe you got on a Netflix series as a series regular. Cool. It could end at any day. It could just end. They could just say, okay, you're not there anymore. We're ending it. Season's over. Series over. Done. And if that happens, did you enjoy the time? Did you enjoy the ride? Was it about the destination, or was it about the journey? And truly, if that's what it's about, then you're in the right place. You're doing the right thing. And that matters. So, expectations, Can you blame yourself? Can you blame your agent? Can you blame your parents? Can you blame anybody else for what expectations you told yourself? Not really. That's your own emotional blueprint. That's what I call those, and that comes from Tony Robbins' life coaching. It's an emotional blueprint. When you say in your head, this is what I should be doing right now. This is what my life should look like. This is what my goals should look like. And sometimes if we stick that emotional blueprint in our head and say, this is how my life is supposed to look, and then you look around and it doesn't look like that, we make ourselves feel bad. Instead of looking around with a different eye, with a different gratitude for what you've learned and who you've become and what you've tried to do and the struggles that you've gone through and everything that you've accomplished, if you look around and say, hey, this is what I've done though, and this was really neat, and just knowing these people was great, and getting involved with that project was wonderful. If you can go through your life and look at everything around you with that kind of an eye and that kind of a heart, instead of holding on to that blueprint, which might really need to be crumbled up and just thrown away, expectations are not fun. I wrote this topic and said what to expect when aspiring. But truly, having expectations can be one of those things that leads to you disappointing yourself when you don't need to. You don't feel disappointed in what you've done or what you've accomplished or how far you are along your path or where your goals were that you missed them or how much further you think you have to go to get to your goal. All of that doesn't really matter if you're enjoying the moment that you're in. And the really cool thing about doing acting or modeling is truly, if we can be in that moment, at that exact moment, it actually enhances our performances. So why not bring that to your life? Instead of just being in the moment in the scene, instead of just being in the moment in the runway show or during that photo shoot, instead of being in the moment for those moments, why don't you be in the moment for the whole journey? And yes, treat it like it's a business, but appreciate all the steps and things that you have to take. You know, I've talked about in my other webinars, you need to have an ambition level. This kind of goes to the homework. I'm gonna like give you answers now. So if you have this, you can like cheat sheet. This is the Cliff Notes, people. Talent agents want to look at you and find that you have an ambition level that's going to stick to it, because we don't want to invest our time and our effort and our energy into somebody who's going to quit. So we really, really look for your ambition level to be something that's going to sustain. And that could be for a long time. We don't want people that are going to just jump ship. And yeah, it happens, but we don't want it to happen immediately. So that's kind of what we look for first off. That's the big deal, because anything else that needs to be done can stem from there. If you need to learn more, great. Okay, fine. He's got the ambition that he's going to go do it, and I know he'll be fine. She'll be fine. They're going to do this if I tell them to, because they're ambitious enough. Cool. We can work with that. So ambition is the most important thing. If you don't have that and you're kind of like, yeah, whatever, then we think you're going to quit. And when you're going to quit, we're not interested, because it takes a lot of effort on our part to get you to a point where we can consistently have you booking. So with that kind of time and energy, we want to make sure that you want this, that you want it bad enough to hang in there. So that's the most important thing. That also, along with the ambition thing, is sort of availability plays a part in that. You may say you really, really want this, but if you don't make yourself available to do something, then that's just talk. So I know that real life is out there, and everybody's got to have a job, and you've got to pay for stuff. And you know, in LA, the waiters are all actors, so you know they tried to find some way to do both, and that's really, really important. But you do still have to make sure that, yeah, real life doesn't just take over and take all of it away. Because if it takes away all your availability, then again, we'll be sending you stuff and asking you to do stuff, then you won't be able to. So that doesn't do any of us any good. So try and make sure that if this is something that you want in your life, that you make sure that you create an availability, whether it's a limited availability or whether it's, you know, a flexible lifestyle, so that we can actually do something to help you. That's really important. But that comes with ambition. If you want to do this, try to make yourself available to do this. So the next thing that agents really look for is experience. Because if you're already ready to go out there and try for these gigs and audition, and if you could cold read and you know all this stuff and you've had some level of experience and successes, then we can realistically feel that when you get on set, you're going to be good enough to book, to repeat book, to possibly get bumped up to a bigger part. You know, all of those things that can happen if you've got some sort of experience level. And a lot of people are like, well, how do I get an experience level if I don't have a job in the first place to give me the experience? I know, it's that catch-22 thing. You're stuck in this crazy circle. So what you have to do is to do the grunt work. You've got to do some theater. You've got to do some little theater stuff. You've got to go to any audition you possibly can. And maybe it's somebody's indie film, or it's somebody's student film, or it's extra stuff. Whatever it might be, the more that you have as experience, the more that we can help bump you up the ladder. But you're going to have to do that grunt work. It's going to have to happen, because the more demanding that the roles get and the more demanding that the jobs get, the more they want you to have that base of knowing what you're doing. And you got to prove yourself. It's just part of the job, because other people will fall off the ladder and they won't continue to climb. So we're looking for people that, yes, have experience. I'm happen to be a little different, and I work with people who are what's considered in development. So if that's something that you haven't really made a good baseline for yet, still I'm able to work with those kind of people. So that's really pretty cool. The other thing they look for is marketing materials, because if we don't have that from you, then you're not going to book as well. And if they're not quality marketing materials, you're not going to book as well. So you're going to have to expect that no matter what, you have to go out and get that done, because your iPhone snapshots and your selfies aren't going to cut it. They're just not going to get you where you should go. They might get you into some things, but they're really not going to get you all the way. So if that's something that you haven't done, you have to realize you've got to do this. I've put down, name a time you had to handle rejection is one of the questions that I put on here, because we've all done it. You know, we know it's coming. We do expect this, and we've all handled rejection in some form somewhere in our lifetime. And we've gone past it. So knowing that, just having that in your head, that yes, I have been through rejection before. Yes, it's been okay. I managed, I laugh at it now, whatever. However you got over it, you got over it. Everybody's gotten over a rejection of some sort. So I'm asking you to put it down on paper, because that's a reminder that you can handle that. You have. It's cool. It's all right. And you can do it again, and it'll be fine. So that's on there. I've made something, and I'm going to give away. Here comes a giveaway. I'm going to give away something that's, I made one for models and I made one for actors, and they're accountability worksheets. Because if you want to be a talent and you want to be the best you possibly can be, you need to be accountable for your own growth. So I made a worksheet that if you put it on your computer and touch it, I think it's a weekly thing. I'll have to look at it again, but I think it's a weekly thing where every day you kind of journal what it is that you've done towards your career. So if you're a model, you know, have you done something positive towards your modeling career today? Have you done something negative, like eat fast food? Did you work out? Did you go and look at different photo shoots and see if you have a new style thing that you want to try and work out with a photographer? Did you touch base with any agents? Did you go on any go-sees today? You know, it's a whole list of how to be accountable so that you can track what you've truly done that has helped your career or hindered your career. So I've made accountability worksheets. I'm going to give an accountability worksheet to the first person that posts the homework, because they were obviously semi-accountable. So the first person that posts their homework is going to get an accountability worksheet so that they can use it and build themselves and be accountable. So that's coming to somebody tonight. But that's something that you should think about. Is what are you doing? What are you doing every day? I get up every day and I work at this career, and I don't have a boss. Nobody tells me what to do. Nobody tells me that I have to do this, but I want to be accountable to my people. I want to be accountable to the talent that wants my help. I want to be accountable to myself that I'm building something and moving it forward. Accountability means that you don't let it slip and you don't let it go away. You just keep on plugging at it and make sure that you touch something every day. And if this is going to be your career, then you need to touch it every day. You need to touch a script. You need to, touch what you're working on as far as, whether you've got a monologue you've been trying to have in the back of your head for every purpose whenever someone asks. You need to look at the photos that you've had done. You need to see if there's something you need to do to your resume. You need to look through stuff that is out there on the internet and what might be something that you can benefit from that's going on. You want to try and network with some new people. You want to meet some people. Those are things that you need to do on a daily basis, because it's a whole big world out there with lots of people doing lots of things. And that's one of the things, like this group just made me all happy, because within it you guys can watch each other's actions and learn what everybody else is doing and friend request each other. You guys are all in the same community of talent, so make friends within the community and see what everybody else is doing, so that maybe you can get to know the people that are possibly of benefit to you. That's really smart business. So that's accountability. That's something that you did positive. Go ahead and put that on your little accountability worksheet and say, hey, I did this today, and I counted how many comp cards I have right now, and I need to go get some more. All of those things are important, and you need to say, yes, I did it, and it was good. And my masterclass things that I'm doing, I'm still doing it. Listen to it for an hour. Listen to it for, some of them are only 20 minutes. So if you can do something like that for yourself every day, imagine how much that's going to help with your skill level, which then boosts your career. Keep growing. It's important. Okay, I put on here, on this next thing on the homework, I currently have prepared and ready to go, circle it. And I wrote portfolio, comp card, headshot resume, reel, monologue, profiles on casting sites, and I wrote a commercial. And what I meant by a commercial isn't necessarily like one you did, but just something in your head that if somebody said to you, do you know a commercial or a monologue? You can go, yes, I have both. Or I have a commercial and I have a comedy and I have a drama. What would you like to see? So if you have all those in your head, cool, great, super, circle it. This will show you what things you really don't have yet. Oh, I forgot, yeah, no, I put website. If you have your own website, if you've gone to some of the profiles on casting sites and you've put those in there, then good. If you haven't done that yet, that's something you need to research and start doing, is to put yourself on the casting sites so that you can get more notices and find out what's going on, and you'll be there and you'll be ready. So all of these things are things that a talent should be looking at. Actors don't need portfolios or comp cards. People that don't want to act don't need a headshot and resume. So those are separate. If you happen to do both, then you should have all of it. You should have all of it. And if you haven't yet, you should be working on it. The reel doesn't have to be necessarily something that's only pieces of what your work's been. And I know a lot of people think that it does. If you know those commercial and monologues and you have those in your head, but you don't have pieces of, an indie film or anything else that you can put to it, just film those as if you would a video submission, and then slice them together and put some graphics on it with your name and how to contact you. And there you have an instant sample of your work. By a reel, it's really something that we need to see as a sample of your work. So if you can put that together on your own, then you should. So I have all those down there so that you can figure out where you are in your own path of moving forward. The next thing I wrote was, I'm planning to expand my marketability by attending the following. Now, attending means you got to go to it. You got to be part of it. And, okay, you could write down, Get Real sessions. And yeah, okay, fine. You're at the Get Real sessions. But you could do more than that. Are you going to take dance classes? Are you going to take voice lessons? Are you going to go to an acting coach or a modeling class? Or, what are you going to do next? Are you going to learn photography to help? Are you going to take a film class? I know some people that are getting into entertainment law so that they know more about the business of the business. If that's something that you're thinking of, write that in there. I'm planning to expand my marketability by attending. You could write the gym on here, because if you're going to go work out and make sure that you're in the best shape you possibly can be to increase your marketability, then that should go there. I think that's a great idea. Now this one says, that first one said planning to, so that means you're not doing it yet. The next one says, I'm currently doing these things to expand my marketability. So this will give you an idea of what it is, and give yourself some credit. This is what I'm doing right now. This is what I've been doing. I am currently doing this. And that's expanding my marketability. So think about that. Write down what things you're doing right now. What things you're doing this week. What things you're doing, within the next couple weeks. Something that's current. What you're doing now. Now this one is, I have attempted these things in the past to advance my career. Now some of these are things that might have been successful. And some of them are things that might have been not successful, but a learning experience. Everything's a learning experience if you look at it the right way. So if there's things that you've attempted and steps that you've made, whether they were successful or whether they were not successful, you need to give yourself some credit for that, because there's probably things that you've even tried to do that you may have forgotten about. We all do this, which is why mom is always so helpful. You go to your mom and say, hey mom, what else did I do? Did I do any other plays or something? And usually they know. So if there's things that you know have attempted in the past that you haven't even thought of for a while, you want to put those down in your sheet. And then the next one says, I've contacted these companies to advance my career. Now, if you think about that, oh gosh, I skipped way back here. What types of businesses are out there to assist an aspiring talent? Flipping back, these would be the sort of companies that you would write down and which ones you contacted to advance your career. So there's coaches, whether they're online or in person. Those are one type of business. Agencies, of course, are people that help you, and managers. There's event planners, especially for people that are doing the modeling side of things. They might want to get in touch with anyone who's a fashion show planner. And then I wrote in my last line, stuff. And by stuff, I mean like the materialistic type of things that you need, as far as, you know, whether it's your headshots printed or your resumes done. Those are different companies that might assist you with stuff like that. If you need to buy a portfolio, stuff. So at any rate, those might be all kinds of companies that you would talk to or contact or get in touch with to advance your career. I know that like the Screen Actors Guild, the SAG website, has lists of agencies on there that you can just pull up as a database. So that might be a neat place to look for some resources of, you know, who you might want to outreach to that might be in your area, or someplace where you're okay to travel to work. So if there's somewhere that's, you know, not necessarily your current city, like right now I'm in Raleigh. Okay, so I'm in Raleigh, and there's agencies in Raleigh. You may have touched all the agencies in Raleigh, but you think, oh, you know what? I'd go 3 hours away and go to Charlotte. So why don't I touch some companies over there? And then those could go on there. So those are ones that you plan to contact in the future to advance your career. So look into the ones that you have contacted. Sometimes we contact them and then we don't touch base with them again for a while. We don't outreach and say, hey, I need to do that. So some of these might be ones that you need to go back to again and pay attention to what you've set out. You know, if you set out your resume and your headshot and you sent it out to an agency and the agency hasn't gotten back to you for a little while, maybe you need to touch on that again, and that could help you to advance your career. So I put a little space at the bottom for notes, but that's all of the questions on my sheet. And what I want you to kind of do is give yourself an assessment of where you are and where you've been and what you expect, what you did expect. Maybe before I've erased expectation from your life now. You don't expect anything, yay. So what you used to expect and what you now know that's out there. You know, yeah, there's companies that you're going to go through that aren't going to do you any good, and there's companies that are out there that that are going to come at you and say, I'm going to try and sell you this or sell you that, and that's going to happen as a talent. That's just part of it. And yes, some services are things that you need, and some of them are not, and some of them you'll pay for, and some of them you shouldn't. So shop and figure that out and do those things, but find people that are going to be supportive of you so that negativism can go away a little bit, and keep those people posted as to what you're doing and let them know your successes so that the people that are your cheerleaders can stay your cheerleaders, and the people that are your naysayers can possibly be muted a little bit. But maybe not. If there's some that are just never going to get on board, just stop telling them about it altogether, because then it's butting your head against a wall. But anyway, you know, keep moving forward if this is something that you want, despite what anybody else has to say. You'll just expect it. I tell my kids and my teens that at school they shouldn't even talk about the fact that they do this with their friends, because some of those young people are really, really jealous-minded and cruel about other people that are aspiring to do this stuff, and it's kind of hurtful. So keeping it private, sharing it with people that you care about and that you feel are going to be on your team and be real supportive is important, and you should do that. It's going to take a while. It's going to be work. It's not going to be easy. But open your mind, open your heart, open your creativity, network, meet as many people as you can, and expand your career, expand your horizons, and then you'll take a look at what you're doing and give yourself a pat on the back. Enjoy the journey. If you continue to enjoy the journey, then you should be here. You should be doing this, and maybe you'll create something really monumentous and moving, and change the face of things. And you never know. I believe that art can do that. So I'm at the end of my hour. It's an hour again. I'm going to do this kind of easily. I talk a lot. Someone had said to me that they heard that I'm still looking for talent, and I am. And in fact, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a Google Hangouts meet with new faces. And some of you know about that already, and some of you do not. If you've never had the chance to get on it's more of a webcam session, like this is me going live and I'm talking, and you're able to put your little comments over here and that kind of thing. But it's not the same as when we're all having a chat together. So I'm doing one of those tomorrow, actually at 7 p.m. So if anyone wants to find out how to join with me in Gray Models and Talent and find out what that's about, and they haven't heard that already yet, if that's the case and you're interested in that, please let me know. Send me a private message and a friend request if we're not friends already, so that I can get an invitation to you. It's an app and it's really easy. You can download it on your phone, or if you're logging on from a laptop or a PC, it's just a link and it'll open up online. So it's really easy to get onto. But it comes with a phone number. If you, for some reason, like your webcam's not working or whatever, you can get on the conference call number and add the PIN in there, and it'll allow you to join us. But I wouldn't be able to see you and connect eye to eye if we do it that way. So I prefer if you try to do the webcam part. Those usually take me about an hour. It might be an hour and a half, depending on how much I talk. But I would love to see you there if you're someone that is interested in possibly being signed to Gray. I do sign only non-exclusive, and I'm kind of focused in the areas that are like from the Carolinas south. And I am licensed in Florida as well. So thank you guys so much for growing my group. It's called Get Real because I also did I have a Get Real coaching program. So if you're interested in learning more about the modeling industry or the acting industry and joining into my twice a week webcams to do that, there's more information that I'll post about how to do that. But I have someone actually tried to invite 100 people to this group, and I said that I would give him a coaching session with me, and I don't know if he's nearby me, but regardless, Mr. Applegate, I will be wanting to talk with you after this is over and set a time so that I can give you a free session, 1 hour coaching session with me about acting, and see where you are and see what I can do to help enhance your skills. So I'm excited about doing that. And anyone else, I try to do these coaching sessions about once a month. I might be doing it more often than that, but I think that's what I've been averaging. And I will try and do it on a regular basis, and I'll let people know ahead of time that I'm doing it. We're also starting, my fiance is a 6-time Grammy-winning sound engineer, so if any of you happen to have an interest in the music business, he's going to be doing the same sort of thing in a group called For Your Ears. So if you're interested in that, find the other group and join in, and that one's just starting to grow. I think I made it for him last night and said this would be really great for you because his head is just filled with amazing stories and incredible knowledge, and yeah, it should be really great. So I would like to see that grow too. But what will happen next with this group is, I'll be doing more. Anyone can feel free to reach out to me and let me know they want to go to that seminar tomorrow. My email is Tracy, Gracy, at graymodelsandtalent.com. Hi, Susan, or is that Skylar? It might be Skylar. Nice hair. Thank you. I did my hair. This weekend, another neat thing is I was nominated for Agency of the Year in North Carolina, and I have a thing to go to on Saturday in Charlotte where they're doing a luncheon for all the nominees. So I'll find out more about it at that time. But I know that it's going to be like a voting thing. So I'll be putting up a link to something at some point in time and say, hey, vote for me. And I feel really, really honored that that came my way when I've only been in North Carolina for 2 years. And it's like, oh, I guess my reputation is growing and my business is growing and it feels really, really good. But I'm going to, get to network with a bunch of people that I don't know yet. So I'm excited. I'm hoping that the people that have tuned in and watched these webinars would feel like supporting sending me a vote, because I'd love to see that happen. That would be super great. So I will be doing that this weekend, and after that posting more, and so that you know more. I have some shoots coming up too with Darren, the photographer. He's going to be in Naples, Florida at the end of the month, and then he's going to be in North Carolina and Atlanta. So if anybody needs any shoots with the dudewiththecamera.net, feel free to message me. I'm handling his scheduling for that too. So his work is excellent and beautiful and fantastic marketing, and he's only $375 a shoot. So if you need one, this would be a great time. And why procrastinate, right? It's already February. It's not even like New Year's anymore. If you have not started to move forward with your New Year's resolutions in your career, then this is a great way to start doing something. So anyway, I appreciate everyone being in tonight and listening to me and paying attention and inviting their friends. I'm just tickled. So if anyone has ideas about other topics that they'd like to hear me speak on, send me, put a post up and say what you'd like to hear. I did some questions. I don't know how to work this thing. When I put the Facebook event group thing, when I went to log on for this, it said, to have questions that I would show during my webinar. But when I start my webinar, the questions disappeared, so I don't know how to get to them. I don't know if you guys are able to see them or how that works or what, but I made some questions. So if I don't show up like that, I'll just put them on as a survey kind of thing, because I'm real interested in finding out if people are, feeling like they do what they're supposed to do. And I know we're in a smaller market, and a lot of people are in smaller markets. But do you feel like you're moving forward with your career and that you're trying to take steps and that you're being real positive? So I'd like to know what the status is of the people that are watching me. Do you feel like you're happy with your representation? Do you feel like you're happy with your skill level? Do you think you're happy with your marketing materials? Do you think that you're happy with the path you're on and the outcome and the events that you're going to promote yourself and things like that? Because there might be a gap in there somewhere that maybe I can help you fill. So keep chatting and network with each other and meet and mingle. And I think the more growth we all have together collectively as a group, the more growth the quality of the industry itself will be. Whether it's, if you build it, they will come. The better the talent is in every aspect, the more likely we'll be able to. Somebody just asked, how do we join or hear the webinar? The one that's tomorrow? I think that's what she was asking me about. If you want to join the webinar that's tomorrow, I'll put a link up in the group. So if you want to join, you can just join right from here. And it's a Google Meets. So if you have that on your phone, great, it's there. If you don't, you can install the app. Otherwise, if you use a PC or use your laptop, it'll just give you a link to it and you just kind of log on. As long as you've got a webcam, it'll work. So I'll post that in the group and then anybody can join in. I think I've got about 20 people coming as it is. Hoping they all show. Who knows, they might not. And if I find that it got too crowded, what I'll end up doing is I'll touch base with everyone within the group and then see if they want to do one-on-ones as well. If you like what you hear about my company and about me, then by all means we can do a separate one-on-one after that. I just kind of like to make sure everybody wants to be on board before we go and go through all of that. So yeah, I'll post it and make sure that everybody knows and look for that. And I thank you all. Any other questions before I log off? Anybody? No? I got some thank yous. Thank you. You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your evenings as well. And I'm glad I saw some new faces here. It's absolutely super to have all these new faces. And I hope it grows. I think that what I have to say about the business and about the industry might be a little different from what other people tell people. So if I can keep that spreading and if I can keep that level of honorability spreading within the business, I think that that might cause a shift, create a change, and that's what I'm hoping that I can do with the more and more people that log in and join on and watch my videos. I'm hoping that it puts some more accountability in the business itself, because some people spread a lot of BS. And I don't want to do that. I want to kind of cut through it and let everybody see this is what's going on, this is what you can expect, this is how it's going to probably be for you, and how to keep your eyes out and know what's right and what's not right. And I hope that if I can spread that as wide as possible, that I can help a lot of people. So the more that you invite your friends, the more I'm super thrilled to have you here, and it means a lot to me. So I hope it means a lot to you. You guys have a great night, and thanks for joining in.